The average man is raised on a comfortable lie. He is told love comes before desire. So he opens himself too early, talks too much, feels too deeply, and loses long before anything has even begun. The brutal truth: most men learn female desire backwards. Instead of awakening instinct, they show emotion. Instead of sparking curiosity, they try to prove worth. They attempt deep connection before her body has even registered his presence, his stability, his polarity. This is where everything collapses. She doesn't reject you because you're worthless. She rejects you because you're out of biological order. If you observe without emotion, you see the silent war that kills your presence. You're terrified of looking like a man who wants sex. And because of that fear, you behave exactly like a man who wants sex, only hidden, insecure, over-careful, desperately trying to prove you're different. That contradiction exposes you. You try to be pure, sweet, endlessly understanding, but she feels the truth underneath. Fear of losing, fear of not being chosen, fear of not being wanted. The result is always the same. You become neutral, predictable, too emotional to be erotic, too soft to be impactful. Evolutionary psychology has screamed this for decades. David Buss showed that sexual selection creates instant, unconscious preferences long before romantic preference ever forms. Meaning comes before narrative. Feeling comes before intent. Evaluation comes before emotion. Attraction comes before love. The body chooses first. The mind rationalizes later, yet you insist on reversing the sequence. You try to prove reliability before showing desire, and by reversing natural order, you fall into the worst category of all, the neutral zone. Not friend, not threat, not possibility. A man she respects but does not feel. Why do so many men choose the slowest, weakest path? Simple: fear of rejection. But that very fear drives them into strategies doomed to fail from the start. Instead of masculine tension, they offer emotional safety and wonder why desire never ignites. Attraction is never created with early love. It is created with presence, silence, intent, and polarity. The sequence has always been the same. The sooner you accept it, the faster your behavior starts producing real impact. What follows exposes something very few men have the courage to face: how women actually choose, why attraction must come before love, and the exact adjustments that ensure you are never again seen as neutral or forgettable. Once you understand the underground sequence, you stop begging for attention and start positioning yourself as the prize. And when a man occupies that position, everything changes. Even the way women perceive him. The first male mistake: believing he must earn love before awakening desire. There is a posture that silently kills a man's presence, and almost no one notices when they fall into it. The urge to show virtue before showing instinctual value. The insecure man introduces himself as an emotional service provider. He compliments too soon. He helps before being needed. He tries to be gentle in every sentence. He adjusts himself to avoid discomfort. He thinks this makes him special. In her mind, it places him in the social category, not the erotic one. Useful, not magnetic. The fix is simple and brutal. Eliminate every behavior that carries intent to persuade. Enter interactions with neutral, self-contained energy. Offer nothing. Observe everything. When you carry yourself this way, her brain no longer classifies you as compliant. Instead, it begins evaluating you as a man with his own life, his own pace, his own standards. Biology explains why this matters. A 2019 Rutgers study showed the nucleus accumbens, the female pleasure center, reacts far more strongly to sexual cues than to loving cues. Her brain decides who is exciting long before it decides who deserves love. Attraction happens in an instant. Emotional bonding forms gradually. When you reverse this, when you offer love too early, you place yourself where her instincts feel nothing. Practical application: steady posture, controlled eye contact, deliberate pauses, measured rhythm. These cues reflect calm dominance, and desire is born exactly there. The psychological paradox. Most men never grasp you believe loyalty, kindness, and consistency early on create interest. For a woman, they usually signal hidden insecurity. A man who invests too fast always reveals one thing: fear. Fear of being overlooked, fear of not being chosen, fear of disappearing. A selective man radiates value. He enters without surrendering. He leaves space while preserving mystery. Practice: replace depth with silence. Ask soul, bearing questions without exposing your entire life. Create contrast between interest and restraint. Desire is born between what she knows and what she still cannot solve. Science confirms it. A 2020 University of Rochester study found kindness is only attractive when combined with confidence and sexual intent. Without them, it is perceived as submission. The problem is not being kind. The problem is being kind out of fear. So calibrate your kindness. Slow your speech. Remove urgency. Show kindness without chasing closeness. The moment she feels your kindness comes from control, not need, her perception flips. Before any interaction, run the intent test. Am I working to be desired or to be approved of? If the answer is approval, reduce intensity. Stop explaining. Stop compensating. Stop anticipating. Breathe. Adjust your tempo. Return to center. When intent changes, energy changes. When energy changes, presence changes. When presence changes, women's behavior changes with it. When she tests you, it's not malice. It's instinct. The biggest male mistake is treating every provocation as rejection. Stomach tightens, chest closes, and they rush to justify themselves. This turns every test into a threat to their worth. But she's not rejecting you. She's examining you, checking if you're balanced, seeing if your energy collapses under pressure. Get angry or defensive, and you confirm exactly what her biology avoids. A man who loses himself easily. Practical method: when provoked, stay calm and smile naturally, not nervously. She reads the control beneath the words, not the words themselves. Freud described emotional safety as internal predictability, the ability to remain whole regardless of conditions. When she tests, she's verifying whether you can stay centered even when things feel unstable. Most men fail because they rush to fix everything, to be accepted instantly. Application: control the rhythm. Do not rush. Do not fill silence. Use pauses as power. Control tempo and you communicate maturity without saying a word. This is the difference between ordinary and magnetic men, how they handle chaos. Most react. Very few breathe. The balanced man observes, stays grounded, keeps his tone slow and steady. That contrast is irresistible. It reveals the number one trait women seek: quiet emotional strength. Practical: respond with curiosity, not defense. Say, interesting, what made you think that? You flip the dynamic. You become the mirror, not the accused. Science backs it. A 2013 University of British Columbia study showed calm, confident expressions are far more attractive than overly cheerful ones. A relaxed, focused face carries far more value than constant smiling. So reduce nervous smiles. Smile only when you feel like it. Voluntary smiles are powerful. Reactive ones are weak. The protocol that separates vulnerable men from dominant men: absolute neutrality. The stronger the emotion in the room, the calmer your tone, not coldness, strategic control. Fast-reacting men reveal anxiety. Men who stay calm radiate power. Practical adjustment, exhale before answering. Slow your speech by 20%. That subtle slowness signals stability, authority, and internal mastery, the exact qualities her instincts lean toward. The foundational principle, why sex always comes before love, even when she denies it. The modern man destroys himself by believing words and ignoring instincts. She may say she needs connection first, that she wants everything slow. Her body tells a different story, shifting posture, lingering eyes, faster breathing, subtle leaning. All of it happens before emotional depth. The mistake is trusting words over behavior. Application, judge behavior, not speech. Shoulder angles, foot direction, silence, returning gaze. These signals reveal truth long before socially conditioned sentences do. From evolutionary research to modern neuroscience, the data is unanimous. Women evaluate power, posture, energy, and masculinity before they ever think about romance. Sexual instinct is the first filter because it is tied to survival. Emotional bonding only emerges after instinct is triggered. So develop your physical presence, open shoulders, aligned jaw, steady voice, conscious rhythm. These cues signal health and competence on a biological level. Romance only grows after instinct is activated. When you rush emotional bonding, you become predictable, and predictability kills attraction. The man who awakens desire does not force connection. He creates space. He shows presence she feels before she understands. Application, intent, not addiction. He reveals intent. Interest pulls. Neediness pushes. A 2015 Archives of Sexual Behavior study showed strong initial physical attraction almost always precedes emotional depth, never the reverse. When the body reacts first, the mind bonds. When the body doesn't react, the mind drifts away. Application, create tension through rhythm. Hold eye, contact 1 second longer. Approach slowly, lower your voice, move less. Tension is invisible but devastating. There is a method few men ever learn. The trigger of sexual presence, not aggression, not performance. Just a relaxed face, unhurried intent, unshaken presence, and a steady gaze. Application, hold 60% eye contact while keeping your body still. It creates polarity. She feels you before she analyzes you. If you want to reach the level most men will never touch, you must learn the deeper code, the psychological, physiological, and behavioral mechanisms behind desire. The bottom line is brutally simple. Female attraction never begins with love. The sequence is tension, connection, bonding. Men fail because they walk backward. They offer emotion before presence, vulnerability before value. This is not manipulation. This is physiology. Ignore this order, and you become predictable, gentle, harmless. The female mind does not bond with safety. It responds to impact, to contrast, not explanation. Robert Greene's principle applies perfectly. Seduction is a game of perception, not intent. It doesn't matter how good a man you want to be. What matters is what she perceives in the first moments. If there is no tension in your presence, no amount of emotional effort will compensate. Value must be perceived before it is proven. Without value, vulnerability becomes neediness. After value, vulnerability becomes bonding. Practical instruction, build the internal image of a man with access, purpose, and self-mastered rhythm. Lead with power first, reveal depth later. You do not earn respect by exposing your heart. You earn it by showing control. Love will not be built by how much emotion you offer, but by how deeply her instinct reacts to your presence. When your posture, voice, and silence reflect internal mastery, everything changes. Her mind begins to imagine, project, desire, and the bonding is created by that projection. Once you see the mechanism behind attraction, you can never return to the old patterns. You now understand why you were ignored, misunderstood, or overlooked, and exactly what must change so it never happens again.